additional information or hear any information on what they could do to strengthen in the next round of application. I have 9 allocated at the bottom for issues that were submitted. We should have lots of time. So if you're on the call and you did not update the meeting with the things you want to talk about, we should still have time to dive in for you. So the general program, every 2 weeks, I'll post this issue in GitHub. This lets you see what the content is for the call or flag anything that you might want to add to it. Today is July 22nd. The next call will be on August 5th. And if you want to follow these, here's the link. We'll be sharing that information as we go forward. Quick check-in on metrics in the interest of time. We saw 22 new clients come on board. And as we reset the data cap, these numbers change a little bit. You'll see over the last 2 weeks, it was 1,800. Now it's still 1,800. I think that I might have dropped there for a minute. So thanks for staying on the line just in case. I'm going to set John as a co-host just in case that happens. I don't kick anybody out as we go through it. Let me share screen again and we'll just jump right back in. All right, so as I was saying, as we're revoking data cap, you might see this use data cap allowance change. That's as we sunset some of the allocators that did not re-on. Right, hey, data cap refresh. The biggest point that I hope you take away is for the last year, the data cap refresh audit has used all of the diligence standards set. Now that all the new applications are on file, refresh comes in, it'll be the new replicas, it will be the new Spark retrieval, it will be the new process that you set up. So anytime you file a refresh now, it's going to use this 6th round application. All right, why we're here, updated applications. So first off, the July 11th window is passed. And what we're looking at is any new applications that are submitted on this, we're going to hold them until there's a time needed. It could be needed for new allocators or bandwidth coming on board. Stress that we will not just be onboarding new organizations constantly if there's no need to the program, which means if we have close to 100 active allocators that are doing the same thing, it doesn't make sense to onboard an additional pathway doing that exact same thing. So newly received applications will be held until there's a time needed to really onboard them as they go through. What happens next? So if your application was received, July 11th was the deadline, everything should be in. We're trickling out some of the last remaining few. These were ones that we had an issue with KYC or we had asked a follow-up question. As of the next couple of days, those will all be closed out and either onboarded or held to the next round. If not selected, you will see your PR close and you will start to see comments coming from me or Amin, mostly me, saying, hey, these were like the high level things that we saw in the application. Please look at it. Due to the high number, 50 applications, it's just not possible to give a really detailed breakdown on every single application with a list of all of the things. That's why we're setting time on this call. For any questions you want to have or any flags, this does 2 things. 1, it lets us get the information you need. And 2, it shows me who's like a bot. We saw some of these applications that were very clearly just copy and pasted versus folks that want to get that more information. The next step will be onboarding to the MNDA and the data cap being sent to you. So what does the review criteria look like? We'll talk about this a lot. That way, when I go to help you, I can kind of tell you what we're looking at from a decision standpoint. The first thing that we're looking at is what were the core metrics that this pathway would do. So if it was enterprise, it would have like full transparency to deal with an organization. If you're going to get paid storage deals and you're working out in the community, we would expect you have a website, you have a presence, you've been in the community. If we don't see those things, then it makes it a little bit more difficult to fast forward. The technical operations, do you clearly spell out where the distribution deals would be? How do you deal with VPNs? How many storage providers? How many replicas? And then the red flags and data utilization. For red flags, if we get an application that you're going to be doing enterprise level data, and we have never seen your GitHub handle, we have never heard of your organization, if you have no records in Slack, it makes it very difficult to then say you have no website and you have no email. How in the world are you going to onboard and start doing 500 petabytes of enterprise level data? So when we look at these, this is kind of the categories that we're kind of breaking down. Galen, I see your hand. I'll pass it over to you.
Yes. Hey, sorry, Claire, just jumping in. Sorry I was a little late. It sounds like your sound is a little scratchy. I don't know if we can try like disconnecting and reconnecting for a second. Um, but I can also run this slide. Um, we we've talked a lot about like what are the goals of the program, what is the point of having these allocators, and this is kind of covering that network level priorities. Like what is it that we want to accomplish here? The both the total volume, but also how unique is the data. This is something we've covered multiple times where um, uploading, 10s, 50, 100 copies of the exact same data set prepared the same way is not as useful as having more unique and discrete data sets. So that's something we continue to care about. But we also are pushing for more and more on-chain paid services. We're seeing a number of teams that are saying we're going to be doing enterprise deal making. That's the type of data that we're approving and onboarding. And so then the question is, well, how is that being paid? What is the proof of payment in native utility token? So not, someone paid for it off chain. I promise you need to trust me. What is the way that we're bringing that value back into Filecoin, into the Filecoin ecosystem? And then another one that has long been very important and key to the success of the subsidy program has to do with the distribution. We want there to be a subsidy that is spread across the network by having distributed storage providers, distributed clients, and not a closed loop where one person is playing more of those roles. Other things that the program is focused on around retention and growth. Do we have clients that are increasing in their volume or in their activity and their traction? And are the SPs maintaining that quality? So looking at things early on and then scaling that trust over time. Are the SPs able to maintain those SLAs? Can they continue to hit the retrieval that they say they will? And then some, areas around how we think about ecosystem health. There's sort of this growing trend around value accrual. And what does that mean to bring more value into the Filecoin ecosystem? And that's kind of related to the one that I talked about a second ago around on-chain paid services. If you are not using the native utility token, but you are using off-chain payments, that's not bringing that value into Filecoin. It's not burning as much fill in different fees. The economics of it, don't help the ecosystem as much as when you are using the native utility, using on-chain paid services, increasing network activity overall, while also using the proof of replication, proof of space-time, those sort of things. How do we push for more of those enterprise grade systems where we're bringing on real high quality enterprise clients? And then how do we push for more real world use cases and economic value? For a long time, Filecoin Plus was viewed as if you get data cap, it'll be free data storage forever. And that was a misconception that a couple people held and pushed. That is not the intent of the subsidy, and that's not the way the math needs to work out. So how do we find these real world use cases where there is real value in the files and the distributed data storage, and not just disks, disks full of zeros and ones that are spinning? That is a different type of network, and that is not what we're trying to do on Filecoin. Cool. Applications not onboarded. Some things here. K-Ray, want to check your mic and see?
This is Kevin talking to you now. How do I sound?
Still a little watery, but it might come through once you get going. Give it a try, and I'll interrupt you if it's still.
Here's just the computer mic. Can you hear this?
Yeah, it's better.
All right. Well, we'll just use the computer. There were about 5 or 6 categories that we saw come through. So I wanted to highlight them, and I break them down in a little bit more detail in the next slide. Number 1 was the reputation. As we said before, if you're asking for 500 petabytes for enterprise deals, you don't have a business email, you don't have a website, and we've never seen the organization before, that resulted in, no, I don't think that that pathway organization has demonstrated an ability. If you have that data cap, feel free to send it to an existing allocator, but you have not yet shown that you built this trust in the system. There were several like that. A couple that were missing KYC, KYB. One of the requirements for this program was that you would do a KYC check through Xife, verify your information for whoever's going to control the ledger, that they would complete sanctions checks. So we could verify that information. Any organization that did not take that step was also not moved forward. We had a few where an organization would file 2 or 3 applications. That's okay if they're different pathways, like a renewal pathway. This was 6 points of time that one organization, same thing. On a hat. So the duplicates had been merged and be added. Missing data on how we would audit, there was nothing. What would be the Spark retrieval? What would be the CID? There was really not a lot to go on. So if there was not enough to refresh audit, those were closed in. And then the last was inconsistent detail, where it would say like, this is an enterprise pathway, but then everything that was described would be public open data sets. So again, these would be the reasons. There wasn't a lot of history to organization to warrant trusting them. There wasn't a lot of KYC.
All right. Looks like we might have lost K-Ray. Let me pull up the slides. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second to pull those up.
And I'm just dropping like a hat. Let me put that back up. So when we look at the application that came through, there were 3 questions in that Airtable form that you filled out. And I want to highlight these again, because I think this is going to impact quite a few people that are on call. Number 1 was the undeclared connections. So there were some where we had the same GitHub file 3 or 4 applications, or we had 2 different organizations. And when we look at the KYC, we can clearly see those organizations connected, either in the background or have worked together before, but no public disclosure. So we don't know if they're working with the same clients, there's nothing. And then limited KPI, if you look at this bottom part, some of this would be 1. So if we have lots of public open data set applications and most of them are 5, and we have an application from an organization that's 1, it makes it really easy to be like, well, we're going to pick the best ones, and this one didn't meet it. So again, we're pulling this all from the application that comes from Airtable. So here's the first group. The 2 application groups for organizations that submitted applications for automated that were not selected were FlashBlaze Exploration and OneForm Social Cap. So these were not approved because there was no plan, no detail, no working product on how this automated pathway would work. So I highly recommend that these 2 pathways, check out the experimental pathway that was set up about 3 months ago. This will give you 1 petabyte of testing, I believe. And that way you can make sure that your tooling works, it's going on board, and that we could actually audit it. Until that standpoint, we can't work with the tooling. So there's really no way to onboard these 2. I'll pause and I'll check chat and see if anybody on that list is coming up.
Okay, Ray, I've also got the slides open if you need me to tap in if your internet's.
Let's see. It's so weird. It will work just fine if I'm downloading cat videos. As soon as I get on this conference call, it's like, hey, I'm just going to be a little bit spotty. So thank you, just in case, Galen, you're co-host too. All right. These next ones, these are 15 organizations that are doing enterprise data. And I expect we'll see some more comps from these. A lot on this list, what we saw was either 0 standing in the program, where we hadn't worked with you before, you haven't come to governance calls, you hadn't been in the community, you hadn't really done anything. Maybe you were a storage provider at one time that made a few deals, but we had not seen like, yes, you have the ability to take paid deals from clients and store enterprise level data to represent it. And so a lot on this list were not added for that reason. So happy to talk with any of the applications on board of like, how are you getting your clients, coming from? How are you supporting them? Because in this application, that was not spelled out. There was really no way to see that these organizations were taking some paid deals. There was also some duplications. Like I think Web3 Mine AG is on this list because they closed one and then opened another. So just in the interest of transparency, I put it on this list. But again, if you were an organization that submitted an enterprise pathway, what we are looking for is you to demonstrate that you have done this before, that you have existing history and reputation, and that you will be successful in doing it again. Simply just having a bookkeeping repo was not enough to meet that bar. So I'll be happy to talk with anybody on that as we go through. Same thing with market. There was two that came to create a market solution. But again, in the application, there was no details about how the market would function, what would be the website, how would it be weighted. It was just pretty much a public open data set application that was listed as market. So for these, I would highly recommend, again, checking out the experimental allocator and then kind of getting some more reputational setup. Maybe start as a very small public open data set allocator to demonstrate that you can have very high retrieval rates and go forward from that. And last, the majority was the public open data. So this runs two pages. I'll start with this page here, one. And these were public open data sets. And I think the majority of these that were not onboarded were due to duplications, where we had one individual who had a GitHub from one organization had filed it for 3. Or again, when we check KYC, we can clearly see that there's multiple connections. So if in that audit, we connected 2 organizations and it was not disclosed in the application, that was immediate grounds for not moving forward. So that will be your chance to come back and say, well, actually, no. We also saw a lot of organizations where a point of contact may have left, meaning like if Galen and I are at the foundation, I've left the foundation and reapplied. I should not be saying that I'm existing to that previous allocation. I'm now a new individual that's doing this. So we saw individuals leaving with their organization, but having no ties to it. And that also led to a removal. And then again, more duplication, where if one pathway, one organization wants to submit for an automated and enterprise and public, that's just fine. But what we saw was some organization had submitted 4 for public open data set, essentially trying to get 20 PIBs of data versus going through the refresh process. So again, that was the main issue that we saw with some of these public open data sets that came through. So with that, that was kind of a summary of like who was not selected to onboard, what were some of the reasons in that selection, and then why we made those based off helping the network. I'll pass it to Galen for thoughts, and then we have plenty of time for those of you on the line that want to flag and discuss to help you as it goes.
Yeah, I think you covered it. Duplicates, incomplete applications, applications where they were requesting an amount, or making claims that it did not seem they would be able to meet and uphold based on, status and reputation. But a lot of it is non-disclosures. If an applicant came and said, I'm totally net new, I'm not an existing allocator, I am just a code contributor. But then through the investigation and the KYC process and through the diligence that we perform in reviewing these, we found a web of connections. And so if there is a lack of transparency or a lack of honesty in this initial process, it doesn't give us a lot of confidence that downstream we're going to be able to scale that trust. So the whole thing is we ask the questions. Applicants are encouraged to give us as much detail and information as possible to explain their relationship to the ecosystem. And again, the fundamental role of the allocator is to be reviewing applicants of clients, reviewing data owners, and assessing whether or not this is a real client with real data doing real distributed deal making. And so we would see a handful of applications where they were a storage provider claiming to be a client and wanting to store it with themselves. And that is the closed loop that we don't support. If it's a single storage provider who's doing their own business development and storing the data with themselves, that is not a distributed impact on the ecosystem. So that's part of where a number of these were removed. There are other allocators that those SPs can work with. If you are a storage provider and you have real legitimate data owners that are coming to you, there are lots of allocators that would be happy to approve you that are not storage providers themselves. That is, the role is supposed to be discrete. So that's my short take on it.
Well, there were two that had left comments in the meeting notes for this session. So BD Man, thank you. I got your comment. Were you on the call now? Would you like to kind of discuss and flag and see what we can do?
Hello, Mr. Kevin. This is me, Elsa, and here with me is Tayyip Khan. We are here to represent CFTA. My name is Aisha Khan, and we are representing the Chimson Technology Co. Limited. Thank you to the governance team and the broader Filecoin Plus community for allowing me to address this meeting. First and foremost, we want to sincerely apologize for our past application errors, particularly the undisclosed relationships in our previous allocator application. Our applications were rejected due to some problems going on with our applications because we have submitted several applications from our company without disclosing the relationship between them. We initially used a personal Gmail account instead of an official corporate Gmail for registration. And here, something to be noted, I will explain it why it happened. It's not because they were intended, but it was solely a misunderstanding and inexperience due to the company's English proficiency problems. They had this English speaking problem and understanding the procedure for the applications. So that's why these mistakes were happened. They were not intended. So one mistake was, as you mentioned in your speech as well, that it's because the company did not disclose their relationship and made several applications at once. But it was actually the same team of 3 companies. These 3 companies work together and owned by the same team, but they did not disclose it. So it was, yes, their mistake, and they do agree to that. Second thing, they did not attend past meetings, which is again the problem of their language proficiency. That's why I'm here to represent them as the company, and so their application was rejected, and here they're requesting for the new allocator applications in the 6th round. As noted in the rejection feedback, our application was flagged due to undisclosed participants, and but now they are committed to provide complete documentations of all affiliations, ensuring strict compliance with KYC and KYB and data cap guideline, and upholding the highest standard of accountability in our operations. Hereby, they requested a second chance despite the setbacks. The team remains passionate about contributing to Filecoin ecosystem. We're formally requesting an opportunity to reapply in the 6th allocation round. Here's how we plan to demonstrate our commitment. We will onboard at least 10 verified enterprise clients with 50+ terabytes of real data storage each. We aim to store over 5 PB of verified auditable data across diverse storage providers. We will enforce the strict anti-SIBL measure, including third-party KYC verification and through client due diligence. And I hope you're listening, right? My voice is clear enough?
It is.
Yes, we
Sam,
can hear
thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
okay.
taking the time.
So, yeah,
Sam, can I ask you some follow-up questions as we go forward?
sure, yeah.
All right. I have notes on the screen that you can see. You said there's 3 organizations. What are the name of the
Yeah.
3 organizations?
Yeah, they're Chimson, OneStack, and Open Ledger.
Chimson? Help me spell this
Yeah.
right. Am I doing it?
Yeah, CHIMSEN.
All right. What was the second?
Sorry, it's SEN. Yeah, right. And the other one is OneStack. ONES.
Like that?
Yeah, right. And
O-N.
sorry,
ONES.
ONES. Yeah, OneStack. Yeah, that's right. And another one is Open Ledger. Open
Ledger.
Ledger. Yes, right. So these 3 companies, actually, Chimson is the parent company, and OneStack is a subsidiary of this company, and Open Ledger is actually the testing company for the data. When they get they will test with the Open Ledger, and then they will use it. But actually, Chimson and OneStack they will also work as an allocator for the data later, because they had these problems attending the meetings, and they didn't have the actual things for the the procedure. They were not aware of the procedure very well, because in China, they work under a very strict circumstances, because nobody wants to share the real information because of the competitiveness. So they have this problem. That's why they didn't know the whole procedure to apply, and they really, it's just not because they did it intentionally, but they honestly made mistakes, and now they really regret that and want to have a second chance. And they have their reasons that why they deserve second chance. Let me tell you those reasons. Maybe I hope you will make up your mind if there's any possibility to give them second chance. According to them, we store 1 EIB, 5% of Filecoin's total storage, and they supported the Filecoin events like DApp and Learning Talks. They want to grow Filecoin with real useful data, and they're the major miner within the File ecosystem, possessing 1 EIB of storage power. They have established close collaborations with prominent DeFi lending platforms such as Glyph and Heaven. So they say, we understand trust must be earned, and we're prepared to prove ourselves through actions, not just word. If granted another chance, we will prioritize transparency, follow all governance protocols, and contribute meaningfully to the Filecoin Plus mission. And here's their concern. So yeah, so basically they made these few mistakes. So I would like to know if there are any chances, if they can get another opportunity to make it correct, or maybe they will get another chance, because sincerely, they had their language barrier, huge language barrier. Secondly, the competitiveness of Chinese market, they do not share the proper details. That's why they were unaware of the whole process. And the same team applied different applications, because they are in the same company, but there were lack of communication between them, and so they didn't know that they are applying at the same time, because there's another reason they were rejected, because one rejection reasons was that they did not use the corporate email to do the application, you know. So it's because they were unaware that they have to apply from the company email or the corporate email, anything like that. So it wasn't intended. These are the mistakes. So on the behalf of CFDA, they wanted me to pull out these points in front of you guys. So I hope they will get another chance. If you have any question or you need any kind of details, they will gladly provide that. Thank you.
Yeah, I took some notes on the screen as you went.
Yeah.
That way it's kind of like in the public record. Here's one of the things that I'd be looking at. So if language is a barrier, if following the stipulations is unknown during the application, it doesn't bode well for future work in the program. The program operates in English. The updates happen in this call on English, and all of the proposals come through here. That said, on these different applications, you have 3 companies. Are you requesting 3 pathways, or are you requesting more than 3 pathways for these 3 companies?
No, basically they are requesting only one, like because they have the Jameson, OneStack, and OpenLedger. These 3 companies, they have a one team. So this one team, they want to apply, they want to make a application for the allocator. So that's why they apply, but there is a guy who applied multiple times. So this is the reason they rejected. And second one, just like she mentioned, they didn't use the corporate email, they used their Gmail or something like that. So this is the reason that their application was rejected. But the path is only one. Like there is a one guy who applied for the data cap allocators.
Yeah, and secondly, you said that the language barriers, of course, they will do some, you know, some arrangements for that in the future, because we just took everything in hands from yesterday. So like as much as I know from the previous things that has been provided. So they will for sure make arrangements for the language barrier things, and also and they promised that they will one reason was that there were unrealistically high standard for the demanding of the data. Like they asked for 20 PIB in a month or 6 months. Now they will set realistic standard for the data, like 5 pips in 6 months. So this was also one of the reason, and it's because they didn't want it them for the company. They will also share this as an allocator. So they will work as an allocated company as well in China. Not just in China, actually their work is spread to Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong, and China as well, in Xinjiang and Hong Kong.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. They are passionate. They want to contribute to the community. So this is the reason they apply again and again. I think they apply 7 times, and 7 times their application rejected. So they are very passionate. They want to cooperate, and they want to do something like they wanted. You should also give one chance another that they should apply and submit the application. And they can provide, because the company have a very good reputation in Shenzhen. This company lies in Shenzhen, and there are different categories of the companies. So this company is A+ company. They provide 50+ clients. They provide data storage. They have a data storage, and they provide 50+ clients.
They already have the storage data of 1 EIB already. They do have that.
So they have a capability to do this.
Yeah. And they claim that they will have strict checks and data audits and public records. They will provide all the details if requested next time. So is
All right,
there
let
any
me stop you
possibility?
just so in the interest of time, here's what I'm going to recommend.
Mhm.
I'd like you to come into the governance repo.
Yeah.
I'll just drop it here in chat so you have it. And this is probably what's going to need to be done, because now there is a lot of moving pieces and it's very difficult to now cipher it out. My recommendation is create a discussion in the governance repo. So come over here, make a discussion, and I'd like you to list out all of the applications that you filed, every single one. Spell it out. This is full transparency, right? So every single one you were connected to should be in that discussion. Then number two, give us a breakdown of like who is the human in that organization. What we don't want to see is like, okay, we have Chimson and it's the same three people at all three of these organizations. It's not three separate, that's one. So be very clear. We submitted all of these applications. Here's who they are, the humans that are running that. There shouldn't be a cross collaboration. You should have one pathway for one person and one organization. And then clearly spell out the disclosures. We were an SP, we're now moving to this. The second thing that I recommend you do is you spell out in very clear detail how enterprise deals are going to happen. Now, pardon if that's not what these are. There's a lot of applications that might be overlooking it. But if you're doing enterprise deals, how do clients find you? Is there a
Yeah,
website?
exactly.
How are those made and how is that priced? Because that's not clear right now either. It looks like we just have all these organizations with a single POC and no description on how it's going. I'm sure Galen has some more additional thoughts. Galen, I'll pass it to you.
Yes. Looking over the applications here as well, some of the questions, do you or your organization have additional network ownership? The answer that was put was no, but that's not true. This organization does have network ownership. They are a storage provider running certain minor IDs. Those addresses were not disclosed. So what I'm
Exactly.
hearing is there are some people that are hired to be operators to help onboard data to an SP. That SP has apparently an exabyte of committed capacity and wants to flip it into data cap deals. What I'm not seeing is who is that SP, what is their minor ID, and how do we know where these deals are coming from? There's a lot of confusion around, is this data that you already, is this private encrypted enterprise data that you already have through this other technology company limited name that is different than Chimson and is, from what I did a quick search on, is a publicly traded company? Is that the only data source? So there's a lot of confusion here. The role of the allocator is not just to go do biz dev for a single SP and seal up a bunch of data cap to one SP. And what we're not seeing is who is the storage provider? What is their network ownership? What is the footprint? Because what I'm seeing is this could be applying to any other enterprise data allocator to show the information and say, we are Chimson, this is our real data. If we actually had real legitimate enterprise data, we would show that to another allocator that isn't this storage provider. They would then get data cap and then they would be able to seal it with a group of storage providers. What I'm seeing is one storage provider trying to play all three roles. One storage provider that already has network ownership, already has committed capacity, isn't telling us what that amount is, where we can track it, already has clients in the pipeline that are willing to pay them off chain, isn't telling us how much or how we're going to see that payment, and is going to turn around and self deal and seal up data cap. And that is not how the program is structured. So we need to see this distinction. Who is the SP? Who are the different operators? Because even on this call, we've now got 2 different GitHub accounts with another one that's also related. All of these different GitHub accounts are all opening similar but different applications. And so that's what we talk about when there is not clear transparency. The role of the allocator is to be a separate entity, a group that is saying, I sit away from the storage provider, in between the client and the SP. I help bridge that gap. I am not paid by the SP. I am not the SP. I'm not the client. I'm a different actor in the market. So
Exactly.
as K-Ray said, we're going to encourage you guys to go open an issue discussion, try and clarify this, try and understand the distinction between what we're talking about. But we, in the interest of time, we do have some other things that we need to look at in the chat. There was one from Akume's Huang that is a developer of Tianji. Again, this is a similar confusion. Maybe there's just a couple people with that GitHub handle, but we're seeing as multiple applications come in with that Akumi's GitHub user ID, as well as multiple applications coming in from Tianji, not disclosing what the relationship is. So Tianji Studio. Sorry, Sam, we're shifting to some other questions in the chat. We gotta cover some of these other ones in the chat.
Sure.
So trying to figure out, it seems like there was a question here. You do not need to submit this issue, and the governance team will automatically refresh. No, the governance team is not automatically refreshing anyone. The way the process works, everyone needed to reapply for round 6. When they reapplied, they either had an open compliance refresh going or they didn't. If they did not have a closed completed compliance refresh, then they were just set at the same amount of data cap they had, their previous allocation. So if they had, 1 PID remaining and they completed the round 6 application, they were approved with that 1 PID. They've got to complete another compliance audit for how they used their previous amount. So Humis and Tianji, if we need to see some clarity around who these different GitHub handles are, and you need to be opening your compliance reviews and following those templates. The other question in chat was, I'm trying to see, it was from Young, I think. Where did it go? Take a look at the incorrect data cap issue above.
Galen,
Harry,
I
do you
just flagged
see?
that. Yeah, I flagged it for a min in our private Slack, so min will run down. Young, if I'm
Oh, there's
understanding
a
that correctly.
reply, so it moved to the bottom of the chat. Okay, great.
Yeah, you probably
Um,
expected 10, you got 5. I'll ask him in to look at that. Get back to you.
Eric,
Yeah.
I do have sharp eyes. They're getting better as I get older, the optometrist tells me. Okay, here's the Young issue. Store Swift, admin approved for 10, but you only received 5. That might actually just be a bookkeeping issue. Like Kay said, admin will look into it. It's possible that you completed a compliance audit and were approved for 10, and it's possible that we didn't do the correct override when we approved the round 6 application. So if that's the case, we will look at it and we can correct that manually. Amin and I will get into that. And a follow-up question for Akumi's. Are you also the one who submitted? Let me pull up the PR number. Sorry, 1 second while I pull this up. This is application HLM minor. HLM 1056. Akumis, are you also the owner of this application? Pausing. Oh, wait. So this is a similar situation. Multiple applications were opened. There was very strong overlap. In the disclosure section, the disclosures were not answered. The domain, as well as the different GitHub handles, had overlap. So if you are not explicitly calling out, and that's why we have these sections in the application, list all the addresses and describe the relationship that is on there. If these continue to be said, no, I don't have additional network ownership, no, there are not additional addresses, but we find that these things have overlap, then we will continue to reject them. You have to be transparent in the application. If you are a operator who is supporting one company, Tianji, but you are also supporting a company, Grand Helmsman, that's network ownership. That's a relationship. You have additional network ownership. You have additional addresses. So that is what we mean when we say the information on the application, we perform the diligence, does not line up. So if you are representing multiple companies, you have to put that, because that is the whole point of this system, is to try and know the transparency and the diligence. Who are the actors? What is their role? What is the relationship? Because at this point, when we see multiple GitHub handles that are all related, that flags for us that it is one rolled up group trying to get as much data cap as possible by claiming to be running different pathways. We've got teams that run multiple pathways. Fiddle runs, I believe, 3 pathways, but those are explicit and discrete. They use the same organization on-chain address to associate all of them. That is why we have that field. They serve different discrete functions. One is explicitly for public open data. One is explicitly for enterprise data. And the other is explicitly a automated Gitcoin faucet. These pathways are one team, one company. They say in their disclosures, here are the names, here are all the GitHub accounts, here are all the Slack handles, and they use the same organization on-chain address. That is crystal clear to us that this is one team who are all the points of contact, and what are they doing? What we're seeing in this application is this very complicated web where one person is using one GitHub handle, using one company name, using a totally brand new organization on-chain address, claiming to be a fully discrete, separate thing. But then we dig into it and we see, well, actually, they're working for this other company too. And so that is what we're saying when, if there are issues when we perform this diligence, that flags for us that the disclosures are not happening. There is not transparency and accountability. So we're going to be rejecting those until we see greater transparency and confidence. Open a discussion issue, try and lay it out. We'll encourage you to reapply when you are ready to have that clarity on who the different teams are or who the different actors are. But in the meantime, we have almost 150 applications total for the team of 3 people to review. So we are going to continue to try and focus on and prioritize the ones that are being, transparent and upfront. And the longer that we have to spend digging into ones, the more complicated it gets, the lack of trust we have. The more we see things that look suspicious, our spidey sense gets tingly. K-Ray, any closing things before we
Sorry, excuse me. I have one last question. Actually, the CFTA, they have this question if there's still any chance to apply in 6th allocation round?
Yes, the round 6 application is open, but we're saying that given what we're seeing, we don't yet have a clear understanding of who they are, what their role is, what they own.
How can they provide the certain details
There
within
are
the application
questions on the
system?
application form. There are questions on the form that say, and so if you don't know that, then that is even more suspicious. There are clear questions that say, list the addresses and the relationship. List the addresses you own and the relationship. List the additional network disclosures.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we got it. We got it, your
Right.
point. And yes, we apologize for the this mistake. We in the 6th round we will never do it again. And we got it, your points, and now we understand it how we can apply again. So thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank you
the
so much for
information.
your time.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, Ray?
Yeah, we have a few people on the line. Caro, Ehume, I think you guys were both approved. Let me know if that's not the case. Young, we're looking into the data cap for you. You should hear back on that shortly. Saying I haven't heard from you on the call, if there was anything, or Irma, if you're on the call and there's anything we can get you, run down or address. Full attention is yours.
Pardon, I didn't get your point. Your voice is not clear enough.
We were checking with the other allocators on the call to make sure we covered their questions.
Oh,
Sure,
okay, got it.
thanks.
Great. All right. Stay tuned. There'll be another similar call in, what is it, 8 hours? All right.
7 p.m. local 0200.
Yes. Great. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Hey guys, so slides are posted. What's most helpful? Hit the big highlights from the morning, go over any questions you have. I'm here. What do you guys need?
Hi, Kevin. So I checked the link that you sent earlier. May I understand that you have approved the Origins application
Yeah, should be good. What number are you? Do you know?
912? Because on the GitHub page, right, it shows rejected, but I
Yeah,
see on the status, right, approved to onboard.
yeah, you should be
What
good.
the
Let me look. Yeah, after we spoke last time, you updated it from 1 to 2. We'll put that back on the radar for storage. I don't know why this is closed. I'm so happy you're on the call. Okay, I'm reopening the pull request.
yeah,
And give me 1 minute to check the back end.
nice.
Nice, nice. Yeah, thanks for updating that to 2. That should work out well. Give me 1 minute before I go on. Reopen that GitHub issue for you. There's a tracker that the root key holder uses. I just want to make sure that theirs is accurate. So let me get that.
Nice. Okay. I'm in Seattle right now, not in
Hey,
Singapore.
pretty nice. All right. Seattle man, enjoy it. I've got it listed for the root key holders. I've reopened that pull request. It would have been fine. It would have been fine, but you know what? I'm happy to open the PR. The root key holder has a list and they're going through it. So you're set. Looking forward to having you guys onboard some data. Thanks.
Thank you. Then I'll get off the call. Thank you.
All the best, man. Cheers, Ken.
Cheers.
Young, I guess we could knock yours out. So I flagged it for the team that does the review that you only got the 5 PIBs. They said, okay, they're looking at it. If you don't hear anything back by, let's say Friday, that should be on board when they do the next batch. If not, let me know and then we'll get it set up. The best, honestly, to let me know is in the Phil allocator channel. So if you DM, super slow. I just have so many DMs, it gets lost. I apologize. I triage them. Hit me up in the if no action by Friday. Bill. That'd be the best. I'll get you whatever you need. Jimmy, I see you're on the line. Is there anything I can do or run down and answer for you, bud?
Yeah, actually, I'm successfully passed the government review. Now I'm joining the meeting for my friends. Ola, he told me that he should join the call, but unfortunately he didn't. So maybe may I ask why Ola's application was rejected?
It should not have been. Ola was approved. I'm looking at the list here. Looks like Ola was 4 replicas, medical. The amount's high. 200. But double check the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wrote back on the 12th. And you got the email.
Yeah, he told me that he sent you lots of messages from email or Slack.
Yeah, he's been coming around for a while. All right. Yes. So I saw this morning. So if you look in the PR 915, you'll see that I reopened it. So I opened that back up. I think what we did was we went through, we made the pass, we didn't have the information, and then he responded in great detail. When was this? Yeah, right after we closed it, he wrote back. So that's fabulous. I've reopened it here. Stand on the line. Let me do it just like I did for Origin. I'm going to make sure that the docs that we have for the root key holder are good. Hang tight.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, please don't leave. Please don't leave. All right, I have it in. I updated the back end and the PR is good. I'm going to leave a comment in this GitHub repository. Please feel free to pass this on. It's very much like attuned to meeting the expectations in the first cycle. And what I mean by that is we were very generous with throttling if organizations didn't distribute data cap to clients and hold clients to standards. Going forward, that's going to be very, very looked at closely. So looking forward to greatness, all set up on that part. Jimmy, let me know if there's any issues, but the PR is open. It's been passed on, and that will be onboarded.
Okay, great.
All right. I'm going to mute the line. Jimmy, if you need anything, feel free to hang out. Otherwise, drop and enjoy your day. Same thing to you, Young. I'll just hang out here in case anybody joins.
Okay, thank you. I will leave now. Okay.
Hey, Alex. See you join the call. I'm just here hanging out in case folks like you did. Is there anything I can do or help you with, bud?
Hello, Kevin. I thought the meeting was end. I
Well,
came in very late. I
it,
just
it,
saw the
it is over, but you've got my attention. If there's something you were looking for help with, happy to.
yeah. I was wanted to do a quick follow-up regarding the Ola application of the allocator.
I think that we talked about that. That's 9:15, right?
Yeah, I did do a comment and also follow the requirement that you mentioned and email to the address. So I want to know what's the next steps.
Yeah. So next steps are I reopened the issue I took the comments that you shared with the business model and passed that on to the team, and the root key holder has it. So as it stands right now, application 915 is scheduled for onboarding.
Okay. Can.
Yeah, rock. If you need anything at all in the meantime, let me know. Ping me in the Phil Plus channel is the fastest way to get a response.
Okay. Can. I saw the update. Okay. Reopen. Okay. Can. Yeah, just frankly check. Is it the private message in the Slack is not actively, or you like more on keen to just ping you on the general chat?
General chat's my preference, and the reason why is I probably get 100 Slack messages from different people a day. And so sometimes the context switching slows down. But if you
I
hit me in
understand.
that Phil Plus channel, it's nice because everybody can kind of learn from the answer. So that's my preference. Unless it's private or sensitive, please just use the public channel.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. Well, hey, congratulations. Looking forward to seeing you guys as allocators coming up. If you need anything from me in the meantime, let me know. Here to help.
Okay, great. Yep.
Hey, all the best, man. Cheers.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
all the best. Yeah, last but not least, just want to check whether are you going to Singapore Token 2049 this year?
I will not be at that event. The next event I'm scheduled for is the Filecoin Developer Summit, and that's going to be in Argentina this November. That's the next one I'm on.
Okay, great. If you change your plan, let me know. I'm glad to see you here in Singapore.
Yeah, I'd like that a lot too, man. All right. All the best.
Okay.
If you need anything, bud.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, bye.